or decided to betray the Prophet. The idea of discussing killing their children and women and then fight until they die, a sort of suicidal type of thing, actually is almost identical in many details with the famous story of the Masada. You know, the story when the Jews said, we'll commit suicide rather than yield to the, Romans. Even the numbers, he said, amazingly, the numbers are also mentioned. The dialogue that went on is very similar to that. And then he raises a very reasonable question. He said, nobody wrote the story that was contemporary in terms of the biographies that was written about the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Which means that Ibn Ishaq, who came much later, he was not a contemporary, had to depend on stories told by other people, through other people, through other people. Some of them were descendants, actually, of the Jews of Medina. Is it possible that there have been some confusion between the story of Masada and what happened to the people of Banu Qurayza, giving the striking similarity in the story? Was it deliberate, or was it simply confusion after a couple of centuries or more before Ibn Ishaq actually started to collect this kind of information? They noted also that the documentation in Ibn Ishaq is not really complete, that sometimes he says, I heard from someone. There's also some question of the isnad, or the chain of narration, that Ibn Ishaq and everybody else just copied from Ibn Ishaq for that matter. So, to put the point really short, the story is suspicious. The Quranic statement that some were killed led him to the conclusion that in all likelihood only the leaders who committed that offense and led the betrayal, or high treason, if you want to call it this way, are the ones who were executed, but not. And finally he said, there is no sign there. In Arabia, for example, you find lots of signs that this was the place where this battle took place. But he says, with children or descendants of Jews of Medina, and no sign anywhere that this was the place where hundreds of Jews were executed. The absence of it. The fact that other geographers who came later on in the history of Medina, and they don't say that in such and such a place in the market, that's where 600 people were executed. That's rather amazing, because among the descendants of Jews, of course, at least some of them would be interested in what happened to their ancestors. For the fact that there is no such sign, it is a serious question about the veracity of that story. I hope that this will clarify that. Until we see you, God willing, in the 24th segment of that series, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Peace in you, peace in me, peace for everybody. Fresh, pure, holy peace. Oh, peace in you, peace in me, peace for everybody.